are very privileged to hear from Heather from Rising Tide Vancouver in the Coast Salish territories. She's going to talk to us about the resistance movement in Vancouver, BC, and our Indigenous allies and brothers and sisters and what they're doing.
Hello. Hi everybody, I'm really happy to be here today to be speaking about resistance that's happening up in Canada. I want to first start by acknowledging that Canada, in my book, is an illegitimate colonial nation state imposed on land that is stolen from Indigenous peoples. I'm not actually from Vancouver, BC. I grew up right here in Portland, Oregon. And after moving up north and hearing people regularly acknowledge the territories there, I did some research and I learned that Portland, Oregon is actually in the territory of the Multnomah people of the Upper Chinook. And I also want to acknowledge that I'm a settler here speaking on their land today. When I first moved to Canada, one of the first things that I learned is that much of British Columbia is on unceded territory. What this means is that there's never been any treaties between colonial governments and Indigenous nations who have lived there and protected their territories for thousands of years. This makes Canada an illegal government by their own colonial laws. I've also begun to develop a better understanding that Canada and the United States are both imperial governments established by forces of violent genocide that continuously refuse to recognize Indigenous nations as independent sovereign nations, denying people of their rights and their responsibilities to their native homelands. These tactics of enforcing social and spiritual poverty on Indigenous peoples are still used today in many forms, including what I've heard referred to as genocide. Not genocide, ecocide. Ecocide, the definition of ecocide, given by Wikipedia, means any extensive destruction of the natural environment and loss of ecosystems of a given territory to such an extent that the survival of the inhabitants of that territory is endangered. And this is what we're seeing happening in this region today. I refuse to recognize any government empowered by such oppression as legitimate. And this is why I feel it's essential that the work that I do as an environmental justice activist be grounded in principles of decolonization. This means supporting Indigenous sovereignty and honoring the leadership of First Nations people. This is not my choice, this is my responsibility as a settler to these lands.